Hello and welcome to Flipped Maths with Mrs. de Hoog. Our topic today is angles, and we are learning to say whether angles are less than a right angle, equal to a right angle, or greater than a right angle. And just a bit of context, an angle is the amount of turning between two lines meeting at a common point, or at the same point. So for example, this one here, oops, not working. We have a line here and a line there. The angle between these 2 points, or these two lines, is shown by this curved line there. So this part here is the turning point between these two lines. This bit around the outside can also be considered an angle as well. It just depends on which part you are focusing on. And yes, so these are the fancy words or the proper words for describing or labeling angles. We have the acute angle. This is basically a very cute little angle. That's how it's can be remembered. So it's basically this one here, the L sort of shape there. The angle between this bit here would be considered a right angle. So acute angle is less than a right angle. Less than. So if it's this one here, and this is considered the right angle by a square in the middle when you're drawing the angle and describing it, or labeling it. If it's any smaller than that, so if it gets to this much between this bit here and this bit, this much, they're considered an acute angle. Even to the point where it's so tiny, it's still an acute angle because it's smaller than a right angle, or smaller than 90 degrees. We won't be getting into angles according to the degrees, so like a right angle, that angle there is considered 90 degrees, that one there between that straight line and that straight line. That's not a year 4 thing, so we won't be getting into that, so to speak. So we move on to the obtuse angle. Obtuse is just basically between a straight angle and a right angle. Straight angle is just straight across, quite straightforward. So an obtuse angle is anywhere between the straight one and then the right angle. So you could see if I can use my fingers here. They're pretty straight. I'll use my hand actually. Yeah, so imagining that this here is the straight angle, anything between the straight and then the right angle in between there would be considered an obtuse angle. So anywhere between a little bit past the right angle and then a little bit just before the straight would be considered obtuse. The straight angle, that one is, I guess you would call it, when you get a bit older, it's a 180 degree angle. It's just a straight one. And then the reflex angle is anything larger than the straight angle. So the reflex angle just goes backwards, or reflexes out. So if you think about straight angle, the reflex angle, if it goes a bit like this, there's the turning point there. Oops. The reflex angle is the bit on the outside here. It's just larger than a right angle, obviously, and also a straight angle. Larger than that one. You would use angles in real life. It's definitely a topic that you would see everywhere. Architects and engineers use angles when they design things like roads and buildings. Carpenters use angles to make furniture like chairs and tables. So if you think of a table, you've got this bit here and across. There are right angles everywhere. I know this isn't very good drawing, but imagine I had drawn it very straight. Excuse me. There are right angles everywhere, and that's so that it is very square, and it's very strong. Artists also use angles to paint and sketch portraits and things like that. Please remember to rewind the video at any point if you need to. Let's move on to some examples. So here we're just going to look at these ones. Now, angles are always shown by either the curve between two lines or obviously the straight across one. So if you had a line like this and a line like that, and that's a right angle, you would have the square to show that that's a right angle. It is a squared, between those two lines. So here this is an obtuse angle because it is larger than the right angle, but not quite a straight one yet. So it's in between. It's an obtuse angle. So we're just labeling these according to the names. Then this one here is a straight angle, just straight across. This one here is called an acute angle because it is so cute. Well, that's one way of remembering it. That's not, yeah. An acute angle. So an acute angle is anything smaller than the right angle. So that would be an acute, that would be an acute. All the way would be an acute. The space in between there, or the turning in between there. Then we have label the angles on the shape as one of the following angles. And then you have, so number 1 is an acute angle. If you're ever wondering whether or not it is a square, for sure, if it's a square angle, or if it's a right angle, I should say, you will see that square in there. That's always a giveaway. It's nice and simple. So these ones here, this one is an acute angle because they're not straight on to each other. It's a bit smaller. I like to compare it by using some paper sometimes. See if I can put something here. So this one here, if we just line this up along with that line there, you will see if I move it this way and continue with the line, it's smaller. It's not quite a right angle yet. That's why it's an acute one. This one here, angle number 2, is an obtuse angle, and that is because if I put this against this line here, this is a right angle, remember, this purple thing here actually goes beyond that one there, so it's called an obtuse angle. Angle 3 is an acute one because it's not quite a right angle just yet, it's curved in a bit more. And then the angle 4 here is an obtuse angle because it's just a bit bigger than a right angle. So if I put my line here, or my item here along there, it does not line up with this, it goes out more, so it's an obtuse angle. And then we have just another question here. This is a challenge. Go on a scavenger hunt to find as many objects with angles and classify the angles. So, move this up a bit. This is one of my favourites, a thin slice of cake. It's often an acute angle because it is smaller than a right angle. I don't know about you, but I try and make sure my cake slices aren't too big, otherwise I feel a little bit sick. So that's generally what my cake tends to look like, depends how hungry I am. But the turning point between these two lines here, this is the angle I'm thinking about when I put it down as an example with an acute angle. This one here would be an acute one because it's not quite at the right angle just yet. And a bench, I know there are lots of different angles often in benches, but I'm thinking of the one that goes straight across. Obviously you got that bit there and then the bit that goes up, but I'm thinking of this line here. This one here would be called a straight angle. It's 180 degrees, just across there. Just a bit of heads up for next year when you're in year 5. Alright, so just moving on to your questions that you'll be having on your homework sheet, or that you do have on your homework sheet. Label each angle with one of the following names here. So we've got this one, and this one. Label the angles on the shape as being one of these angles again. So you've got a shape on your homework sheet just like this. You have to label, so angle 1, what is it? Angle 2, angle 3, angle 4. And then challenge, go on a scavenger hunt to find as many objects with angles and classify the angles as acute, right, obtuse, straight, or reflex angles. So I'm very excited to see what you can find at home or in the garden or out and about. So please have a go on your homework sheet now and pause the video. Alright, time for some answers. Please make sure you pause the video again if you have not answered yet. Alright, so there we go. So these ones here, this one is a right angle. This one here is an obtuse angle. It's larger or greater than a right angle, but not quite a straight angle just yet. It's in between those. This one here is a right angle. It's because it has that square in the middle there. That's the angle that it's describing. The right angle there. Doesn't matter if it's like that, like that, like that. It's still going to be a right angle. And here we have angle 1 is an obtuse angle. Angle 2 is an acute. Angle 3 here is a right angle. That square tells you straight away it's a right angle. And then angle 4 is an acute angle. Smaller than a right angle, as you can see. So it's acute, or an acute angle. and challenge. I can't wait to see what you have found, and we'll have some time to share your findings in class. So thank you so much for watching and listening to this video on angles, and